Hey guys, welcome back to Simply You, Be Here, Be Real, Be You with Carly Basham. Thank you all so much again for tuning in this week. I'm so excited and happy to have you guys here. I hope your week has been going smoothly. I hope this Sunday has been just a great, refreshing reset. I feel like there's nothing better than that on a good Sunday, and I'm so excited to get into it with you guys. So without further ado, welcome back to Simply You. But guys, I feel like the past couple weeks have just been crazy, just with nonstop things to do or things to go to. All great things, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But I just always love this time where we can just come and slow down. And I'm actually super excited to get into our conversation today. I was thinking about us talking about the topic of time. Time is so complex, and I truthfully feel like we could talk about this for hours upon hours, but we're just going to condense it and kind of start the conversation, because time is one of those topics that truly fascinates me but also scares the living shit out of me at the same time whenever you really get into it. But specifically today, I think time, the concept of time, can play such a key role into how we feel and what we're doing. But I think to kind of get into it, whenever I feel my most anxious, I have noticed that part of the reason is because I feel like I am running out of time to do something, or I feel like I'm behind on time, or I'm too far ahead, or just that I'm not exactly where I'm meant to be. And you know, like, I think time involves past, present, future, but it's all really linear too. You know, the past, present, and future all go hand in hand, all at the same exact time. They all coexist. So I guess that leaves me, whenever I start to feel really anxious, whether or not I'm being stuck in the past or whether or not I'm thinking about the future too much. I think that those can both bring a level of anxiety and make you feel just like overwhelmed, or make you feel like what you're doing now is not good enough, or just can really bring in a lot of doubt. You know, like, it can just be a trickle effect into how you feel whenever you get stuck into the past or future, but not the present. So I guess that the more that I've actually been thinking about it and realizing how much I have gotten caught up in thinking about the past or thinking about the future too much, the more I've realized how much time I've spent thinking about the past or worrying about the future. It's made me recognize how much time that's actually taken away from the present moment that I have right now. And that, I think, is something that with time in general, we truly have to understand, is that this moment that we have right now is the only moment that we know is guaranteed. We don't know what's to come tomorrow. We don't know what's to come in a week, in a month, in a year, in 2 years, 5 years, a century, so on. You know, we cannot predict it. Yes, we can see how our behaviors may take us in the future. Whenever I look back on the times that I was doubting myself the most, it really all came down to one common denominator, and that was I was worried about the outcome that I could not predict. And thinking about the amount of time I spent on worrying about something that was completely outside of my control, rather than utilizing the time that I had to just do something that I knew that I could do, you know, just do something that I knew that I could control. It really made me see how much time I had wasted in my life just worrying about the future or thinking about the past too much. So that's kind of been like a goal that I've been setting for myself, is trying not to get caught up in worrying about the future, knowing that it is completely out of my control, that all that I can do, all that we can do, is focus on our actions and on our behaviors that are right now. That's all that we can do. Same thing as far as just thinking about the past too. The past, I think, can be heavier than the weight of worrying about the future, just because I think we've already experienced the past, and all of those experiences stay with us. Whether or not you heal from them, whether or not you choose not to talk about them, they are still inside of you. They are still a part of you. No matter how healed you get, they are still going to be a factor and a part of you. which that can be great if we're having those amazing experiences, but also those hardships, right? Those real hardships that really challenge you and were the points in your life where you were like, this might be it. Like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get through this, you know? Those moments are the ones that I think we carry with us and truly just hold so much weight in the small things too, you know? That's where I think we look into, you know, like what triggers us and how we even see certain situations or how certain situations make us feel, you know, like that's where too I think that we all have to recognize that there's going to be different triggers and different situations that are going to make us feel a certain way, whether or not we want to. The past is tricky because, again, we have already experienced it. We already have the memories. We already have the feelings embedded into our soul and subconscious. So I think at that point, it is hard to forget the past. You can never forget the past. You really can't. However, that is where focusing on the present moment right now, it's not going to take away the weight and the situations that you have gone through in the past. But let's just put it this way, you guys. Think about the present moment, right? Thinking about the present moment versus the past, right? If we spend the present moment constantly thinking about the past, we truly can never expect us to see and feel anything really different because we're holding on to that feeling, right? We are holding on to those experiences, good or bad, whatever. But the whole thing is we aren't really growing, right? The more that we hold on to the past, we have to recognize when we're learning from the past and when we're dwelling on the past. There's a fine line, but dwelling in the past truly is not going to change anything, right? That's where I think we can always go back to you either win or you learn, you know? So those hardships, those situations that you didn't ask for, but you just had to go through, those are the situations and experiences from the past that are going to weigh probably heavier than some other things, but we have to take things, learn from them, and apply them to our present moment, right? So not really dwelling on the past, but just learning from the past to then apply it to our present moment that we have right now. That's really, if we're doing that, guys, that's truly all that we can do and all that we can control. Vice versa, kind of going into thinking about the future. The future is, I think, one of the most overwhelming things to think about because there are endless amounts of opportunity. I say that can sound like the most exciting thing ever, but also, at least that I kind of feel it too, that like puts a pit in my stomach almost. Just because thinking about how many opportunities that there actually are can feel so overwhelming because we don't even know where to start. Like there is no roadmap, there is no blueprint telling you which path to choose, telling you which skill set to really utilize, which passion to really go for. Like there's nothing. There is literally none of that. And that's where I think whenever we get caught up into thinking about the future, it can cause a lot of anxiety and worry because it's out of our hands, right? It's not like the past where we've already seen the outcome. We can't see the outcome of our lives. We can't see the outcome of what's going to happen tomorrow, right? It is, you can't predict it. You cannot predict it. You cannot control it. You cannot change it. It's going to happen. So that's where I think it makes me ask myself, at least, what good does it do to think about the future? But then let's really break that down because I truly believe that there are benefits to thinking about the future. I truly believe that because that's where we can manifest and we can start to create our own reality and we can create vision boards and really become like a visionary, right? So I think that thinking about the future can honestly be a superpower. I truly believe that. But that is where there is such a fine line between how we are thinking about the future, right? Are we thinking about the future with intent to create our own life and really go after our goals? Or are we thinking about our future with more doubt? And I really want to challenge us whenever we do get kind of stuck in those thought patterns about the future and what's to come. Really sit back and acknowledge how your body's feeling. Acknowledge how your mind is, how fast, how slow it's thinking, right? Think about your thoughts, right? Are they more assertive? Are they more definitive? Or are they more questions? Are they more doubtful, you know? Because the thoughts, especially the thoughts that we listen to about what our future is going to look like, is going to make or break it, you guys. That is literally the law of manifestation. That is a whole other topic, which we can get into another day. But how we are thinking about our thoughts and choosing which thoughts that we are believing and acting on is truly going to make or break our future. So that's where I think trying not so much to worry about the future, but more so whenever we are thinking, because guys, we are going to think about the future, right? Like that is completely out of our hands at that point. I mean, there's literally nobody out there who does not think about their future, about what they want, about their fears, about their doubts, about all of that, right? That is all normal. That is all completely normal. The amount of times I literally lay awake at bed just thinking about, God, there's been so many nights where my head's been thinking about the future in two completely different ways, right? Like I will literally be laying in bed and thinking about just all the things I want to accomplish in this world, whether or not it's this podcast or the girls that I'm training in volleyball or my clients or my travel and content, you know, like there's so many things that make me really push to try to see my future. But that's where it's crazy, because those nights where I do think about it, I'll either think about it with fear and I'll be scared shitless, you guys. I will literally stay up for hours because I cannot go to sleep because I'm so worried about not accomplishing everything that I want to, right? I'm so worried about running out of time or not doing every single thing that I can in my power to set myself up to have the future that I want, right? Like that's where I think that thinking about the future can feel super overwhelming. Because I don't know, whenever I get down that thought pattern, to me, I'm thinking, it's like the thoughts that are coming to my head are all centered around doubt whenever it comes to my life. They're all statements centered around, what if I don't make it? What if my podcast is not successful? What if the girls I'm training don't like me? What if I'm not showing up for them the best I can? What if I'm not good enough to make content? What if, you know, like it's all of these what ifs that are all centered around doubt, right? And that's just where, as soon as I start thinking those things, how I look and feel and see about my future completely changes, right? Now it's like the future and all of these endless amounts of possibilities that once seemed so exciting seem fucking terrified, because now I'm doubting if I am even capable and good enough to get there, right? And that's where I think the fear of failure can come in, because guys, if we don't truly believe, or if we are doubting ourselves that we deserve or that we are capable of achieving our goals, we are literally the ones standing in our way. There is no one else standing in our way. There is no one else standing in your way from posting. There is no one else standing in your way from studying and going to school, from going to practice, from getting extra reps, from whatever it is, right? There is no one standing in your way besides you whenever it comes to those things. But saying that, right, it seems so easy just to flip that switch, right? But it's really not, because again, you feel it deep in your body, right? Whenever you start to have those thoughts of doubt, especially towards your future, especially about your goals, about what you want to achieve and go after in this world, right? It can be consuming. And that is whenever you can start to doubt yourself in every small thing that you do, right? Whether or not it's how you dress, how you look, how you're speaking, how you're showing up, right? That's whenever we go into these thought patterns that are like, oh my God, like, I can't believe that I said this, or I can't believe that I wore this, or, you know, like we are just doubting every single small thing that we do, rather than just owning exactly who we are, exactly how we're showing up, exactly how we're speaking, exactly how we're looking, exactly what we want, right? Whether or not it looks good or not, whether or not we succeed or not, we are owning it, right? And that is what I want us to really try to do, is just own who the fuck we are, you guys. There is nothing and no one who can take that away from you. And that, once we start to own who we are, you guys, that is whenever we are going to literally take over the fucking world one day at a time, in our own way too, which is so cool. But that's where I think, rather than going down that loophole in those thoughts, whenever we do feel and think those thoughts, right, being able to recognize and say, look, Yes, I could not succeed, but one thing about me is I'm gonna for sure try as hard as I possibly can, right? Like make the universe prove you wrong. Make the universe prove to you that that is not for you. It's like make the universe prove to you that you're wrong or that you're not capable or that you can't, right? But do not be the one to tell yourself that you can't do it and stand in your way, you guys. There are already so many fucking obstacles that we have to go through in order to get and achieve our goals, right? So why the hell would we want to be one of them? Like, genuinely ask yourself that. Think about how many things stand in our way, and that's going to look a little bit different for everyone, based on your upbringing, your background, and all that stuff. We're all going to have our own challenges, but I think whenever we really realize that, guys, life is not easy, especially whenever you choose to go after something, we cannot expect it to be easy, right? We have to expect there to be challenges. We have to expect that we are not going to be good at everything. We have to expect that we are going to have to learn, that we are going to have to show humility, and that we're going to have to grow. But with that does not mean that we are not capable of succeeding, right? I promise you, the most successful people in the world are the people who bring on failure, right? They are not afraid to fail because they know that is going to take them one step closer to the end goal, right? Not every single step is going to be sturdy, but every single step is going to be in the direction that you choose for it to go in. There is so much power in that, but I just want to make sure that we are not standing in our own way. Whenever we get into those like doubtful thoughts about the future, right? Instead of thinking, what if I don't succeed? What if I'm doing all this for nothing? What if I'm just wasting my time? This, that, the third. That's whenever we can really bring it back and say, look, this may not work. I get that. I may be doing all of this work, putting all of this time, energy, and effort, and see nothing from it. But with that, though, I'm going to at least know that I'm learning something from that to take on to my next side quest. Vice versa, you could also start something, know that you might fail, know that it may not work out, and it might surprise you and bring even more possibilities that you could even imagine, right? So that's where I think let's really challenge ourselves not to control the future as much as how we feel about going into the future. Really set intent behind what you're doing in the present moment. That way that whatever's going to happen in the future, you know and trust that you're growing, you're learning, and you're succeeding. If you're doing those three things, guys, you can't lose at life. You literally cannot lose. Especially whenever you have a new passion or have a goal that you want to achieve, right? You're going to have to look into the future. That is going to be a part of the process in making your short-term goals, your long-term goals. It's a part of it, right? Setting goals for yourself goes hand in hand with looking in the future, right? But that's where I think if we can start to control our mind and how we are viewing the future, that is going to make us feel so much more confident going into it, right? And that's where I think with time too, guys, let's just call it the elephants in the room. We are not going to be here forever, right? Time is of the essence, truly. We don't know how much time that we have here on this earth, right? We are not going to be here forever. And I don't say that to scare us at all, but I say that more so for us to recognize that if you want to do something, you guys, go after it, right? Go after it now. That being said, though, we cannot expect to see the end result coming in the blink of an eye. And that's where I think nowadays, just with social media, we, as a society, it's really easy to fall into the trap of wanting to see that instant gratification, right? That instant reward, whether that's money, fame, followers, promotion, like whatever it is, just the way that society is, that is just what we see, right? It's just instant gratification. But we really have to recognize, you guys, is that the moment that you decide that you want to go after something, as big or small as it is, we have to recognize and accept that we do not have control over how long that is going to take to achieve. All that we can control is our determination and discipline to make sure that we achieve it, right? We don't know how it's going to look like. We don't know how long it's going to take. And that's where we literally have to surrender. We have to surrender to time, right? We cannot control time, but what we can control is how we use our time, how we utilize our time, right? And that's something, honestly, that I've been really trying to focus on throughout my day, is utilizing as much of the time that I have during my day as possible, right? That's where, like, for those of you who know me, like, I keep myself busy. From the time that I wake up until the time that I go to sleep, I'm always doing something. That's just like how, like, my mind is wired in general. But you don't have to be doing something constantly, but I think just more so the mind frame that you're in, right? Try not to fall into the trap of spending your time worrying about the past or thinking about the future, right? Throughout my days, right? Like, if I have like a 30-minute break and I know that I have something that I could do, whether or not that's post or call my parents or text back my friends or respond to emails, you know, like, it's those like small little tasks, right? I think using those small little windows of time and really capitalize on it, right? Really prioritizing those small windows and buckets of time to get done with those small little tasks, right? That's where I think time can seem like it's getting past us. Time can seem like it's getting ahead of us because we aren't really keeping up with it. And it's so hard to keep up with time because you really have to keep up with your life, the people around you, your priorities and responsibilities, and really just your commitments. But with that, you guys, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I think we just have to recognize how we're spending our time, right? Think about if you're spending 5 hours on TikTok, you know, we could be spending 30 minutes of that time responding to texts or responding to emails, right? Rather than waking up every single day constantly feeling anxious, looking at having 50 text messages and 20 emails that you have to respond, right? Yes, that seems like a lot, but if we really break it down, that's where my quote that I always say to myself is, keep up, don't catch up. Keep up, don't catch up. Keeping up is so much easier than catching up, because whenever you're playing catch up, it brings such a big level and feeling of anxiety, and just that you're feeling like you are behind. And honestly, the feeling of being behind is one of the hardest feelings to feel, because it is such a low frequency and you feel so low towards yourself, right? Because the feeling of being behind, right, that means that we haven't done the things that we know that we needed to do to be where we know that we could be. So that's just where I want to challenge us. Not saying that we have to keep ourselves busy and be on the go all the freaking time, but if and when we do have those 30-minute windows, right, rather than spending the time scrolling on TikTok, pick up the phone and call your people, you know, or if you've been telling yourself that you are going to start posting, right, if we have 30 minutes, go and post something, you know. But I think whenever we feel like time is getting past us, I want us to really sit back and evaluate what we are doing and how we are spending our time, right? Are we spending half of our day scrolling and watching everyone else live out their day rather than doing what we said that we need to do, right? And that's what I think too, it's just a level of commitment, you know, committing to the time that you are spending and how you are spending it, right? Like we said, we do not know how much time that we have here. We know that it's not forever. So I think prioritizing how we are spending our time, being intentional with our time, guys. If we can start being intentional with how we are using our time, our entire life is going to change. I promise you that. Being intentional is one of the best behaviors that we can do. And honestly, the more intentional you are, the more anxiety and worry that it is going to alleviate. I promise you that, because if you are intentional, if you set intent behind what you are doing, you guys, you aren't really going to leave room for any question, right? That's where you're going to feel so confident in your commitment into what you're doing, right? Because you are so committed that you took the time to be intentional behind what you are doing. And that is so powerful, because you are leaving zero room for doubt, right? You know that you did everything in your power to prepare yourself to go into that moment and do it, you know? So I think to alleviate some of that worry and stress about the outcome of what the future is going to look like, set intent in the present moment, right? Be intentional in the time that we have now. Be intentional in the present moment. And that is going to make you feel so confident and so committed into what you're doing that instead of worrying about what the future is going to look like, you are going to know that whatever outcome, whatever the future is going to look like, it is going to be for you, right? Because the future is not going to give you anything that you are not ready for. I promise you that. But I think we have to, again, prepare ourselves for the future. And the only way that we can do that is to be present, be intentional, and commit to the time that we have now, right? If we do those three things, you guys, the future is going to pan out exactly how it is meant to, right? Again, to get there, it may not look easy, it may not be as sturdy, but we are going to get there. That is where we just have to stay disciplined, we have to trust and just stay committed, you guys. But all that being said, time is definitely one of those topics that we could talk about for hours, whether or not it's the past purely, the present, or the future, or all three of them combined. But really about time, I think the main thing that we can do is just be intentional with the time that we have and be grateful for the moments that we have. We are never going to get the present moment back. I always love oh my God, and you all know how much I freaking love Kung Fu Panda. That and How to Train Your Dragon are like my top 2 animation movies ever. But the infamous, famous quote from Kung Fu Panda about how that is why they call it the present, because it is a gift. That is so true, because we don't get this moment back at all. Whether or not it's a good moment, a bad moment, we are never going to get this exact moment back. So just be intentional, be grateful, and just know that the future is going to happen regardless. So just be intentional with what you are doing now to set yourself up for the greatest success coming your way. Thank you all so much for tuning in again. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all are having a phenomenal Sunday and have a phenomenal week ahead. And thank you all so much for tuning in to Simply You. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and I will see you on next week on Simply You. Be here, be real, be you with Carly Basham. Thank you guys. Bye.